To everyone who voted for this Villainess series, thank you, thank you. Rereading this, oh my goodness, I forgot how much I loved it and so thankful for this opportunity to gush about it to you today. Hello friends, happy Friday. We are continuing my Villainess event, though this is sort of wrapping up everything for the month of October. Don't worry, I do have Not So Wicked Stepmom. I'm gonna have a review coming of that. Not really sure because next Friday we'll be doing the November Shoujo Say release calendars. I'll say October. No, we're going into November. And then probably the Friday after that we will talk about it and I'll officially wrap up everything. But I truly hope that you have deeply enjoyed this event so much. So we do have another series we're reviewing, and you guys actually voted for this, and that is If the Villainess and Villain Met and Found Love. Let me see the subtitle. She was all but disowned for her spirit contract, but she's still competing with her rival. Now, I'm reviewing the manga, and it only has 4 volumes out, but I did see volume 5 is up for pre-order. I do not remember the release date, but I was so excited. I was so excited. This is the second time, though the third time I have reread volume 1, but all the other volumes, this was my second time, and I was so excited to be back with these characters, even though I know I just read, I think when I was doing my Goodreads review update, I think I read volume 4 last month because I think it released last month or the month before that. But I will tell you, if you saw my Villainous starter pack that I did on Wednesday, y'all, I felt like I sort of like blew off this series for one of the categories, not in like a disrespectful way, and I don't think I regret the manga that I chose in that video for that category. But y'all, I should have gushed more about this. I should have recommended it a little bit more stronger in that video because it was amazing. I realize I already said that, but it was truly amazing to be back with these characters. But in case if you're not familiar with this series, it does have a light novel that is also ongoing by Yen Press, I believe, but it's about our female lead here. Her name is Brigitte, and she has more or less been casted out. She's definitely been like cast out by her family, sort of disowned of sorts. Reason being is because her family is from like the Fire Clan, and everybody in their family has had a contract with a very strong spirit. But unfortunately for Brigitte, when she has her like ceremony to receive her spirit, it is a no-name spirit. And usually if it's a no-name spirit, that means it is very, very weak. And her father is absolutely livid with her. I don't know exactly what happens to her parents, but they're not around in this series. The only time we really see them is during flashbacks. So if that was not already bad enough, which was awful for Brigitte, especially when we see the backstory. She was engaged to the second or third prince, Prince Joseph, who I cannot stand. They were engaged, but he calls off the engagement with her in favor of this new girl named Lisa. And he's like, I've heard all of the things you've done. You know, that typical villainous cliche right there. I've heard all the bad things you've done, all the evil deeds that you've done towards her. You're just jealous and I am done with you. I am engaged now to this other woman. And of course, that other woman is the one that has been spreading lies and rumors about her. Brigitte is sort of like, okay, this is my fate. She goes to this magical academy with Prince Joseph, with his new girl, and these other people. She is at a really low point, I feel like, when we see her in the opening. But the thing is, she meets our male lead, Yuri. When she first meets him, she sees that he is very blunt. He acts very arrogant. He is very off-putting, and she actually ends up admiring him and begins to slowly have feelings for him as the series goes on. But through a interesting thing that happens, she's very inspired by his, I guess you'd say, his personality and how he treats other people, and how even though he himself is like a villain more than a royal, I think she says, he doesn't let it bother him. And so she's like, you know what? I'm gonna get my life back and I'm gonna start studying again, doing these things I completely put off because of Prince Joseph and my engagement to him. And when she goes to the library, because she's like, yeah, I'm gonna start studying, she's fired up. She is very inspired's not the right word, but basically through Yuri's words and actions, she is like how dare you? I'm going to challenge you to a competition, and whoever gets a first place in the next exam will be able to make the other person do something of anything that they wish. You know, has to be nothing bad, you know, but like he makes a joke. He's like, I hope that you're prepared because I'm going to make you my servant when you lose. And so that's the beginning of this story. It is a love story. It is very slow burning, though I definitely saw more signs rereading it, because I think I've said in every Goodreads review of this series, the first time I read it, I was like, where are the crumbs? Where are the crumbs, Yuri? Because you could definitely see there's moments where he definitely cares for a female lead. Like he really, I genuinely believe, loves Brigitte, but he don't show it in a lot of obvious ways, and you have to really look into it. But I want to talk about this story and Brigitte first, because this is an amazing villainous manga, and I would highly recommend it. Do not get put off by it saying if the villainous and villain met and fell in love. This is one of those villainous series that I say it's villainous in title only, because she's just called a villainous because she said all these bad things happen to her, and she is very put out by society. They don't want anything to do with her because her father's over here saying, you're a changeling, you're not my daughter. And then you have people giving her the nickname of Lowly Red Fairy because she has a no-name spirit, and it just sort of keeps snowballing in a down effect. So she's not an actual villainess. Now she has that laugh at times that she like sort of puts on airs of being a villainess, and I love when she does that, but she's just a young woman who's just been given this horrible hand that's just been really awful, more or less. So if you want something, I feel like in name only, but it's not an actual villainous, there's no reincarnation, there's no in an otome game or anything like that. This is a fantasy world just about a young woman who is trying, and that is where the story is so beautiful and compelling. When I was talking about Yuri before, this line actually stood out to me when she sees Yuri, that he has talked back, and she says he talked back to Joseph, cold, blunt, and not the least bit friendly. He's more a villain than a royal. I'm sure he's shunned just like me, yet he doesn't bend to their influence. Living like that, so authentically, as brash as it may be, it's something I admire. And I just love how she sees these qualities. I mean, typically we would, I think I've said in a previous like reading wrap up, that cold, blunt, and not friendly. Those are three different things about a personality that the majority of people are not going to say, those are good characteristics. No, we're not going to say that. People, like she said, they're viewing him more of a villain than a royal, but yet it's these very parts of his personality that inspire Brigitte to be like, you know what? I want to take my life back. And that is exactly what this story is that she has been so inspired by this male lead, by this young man, that she's like, you know what? I'm going to go pursue my dream, which is to get a doctorate, I believe, in spiritology. She is a love spirits. We see that in every volume, that doesn't matter what age she is, that she's so drawn to them and wants to call them friend. Like she, even when we see when the ceremony happens where she is supposed to get her spirit, that she's like, you know, even if they're small, even if they're a no-name, she doesn't say it like that, but even if they were this, she's just happy. And even in that very moment, she was, until her parents came in, and that was just a horrifying, traumatizing experience. Like we really see in volume 4. I would even go as far to say that there is, I feel like, a trigger warning that should be issued for this volume. I didn't cry the second time that I read it, but yes, the first time I did read it, I cried because you see the emotional trauma that Brigitte has, and you do see the abuse that was done by her father. So please be aware of that. It's not graphic, but it's upsetting at the very least, because Brigitte is such a beautiful heroine. And so I bring that up because when we see that emotional trauma, we see what really happened after that ceremony. I'm just like, girl, it is amazing how you have been ridiculed, put down, made fun of, mocked behind your back. Your parents don't want you simply because of, I mean, they loved you so much, and then this one ceremony turned their love upside down, your whole world. But yet there's moments in this story where people are in danger and have made fun of her and mocked her, but yet she's putting her life on the line and encouraging these very people. So when you see her in the beginning, even though you don't know of those things, because we see the fullness happen here in volume 4, but so courageous of her. And I find her a deeply inspiring heroine. And I'm thankful I've never come across a review that said she's boring, because y'all, I would be triggered. Because even if maybe this series is not very different from, say, I don't know, some other series, I can't compare because I feel it's very unique in itself. But I will always, always love and cherish a heroine that is willing to be brave and just fight to love the things that she loves and help those around her that have mocked her. That is so inspiring to read, and I just was blown away. Even when I was skimming through everything to make sure I had a good refresher before this video, I'm like, Brigitte, if only you could see how precious of a human being you are. That what everybody's saying about you, girl, they are not right. They are not right. What they're saying does not define who you are. And I think going back to Yuri a little bit, that because he has this very rough around the edges personality, I was surprised I never hated him, but because he takes our female lead serious. The way he says things is a little bit interesting in the beginning. And it's like, are you throwing shade at her right now? Like, I remember the very first time I read, I really didn't know how to react to Yuri, but he does make it known. He's like, I don't think you're actually dumb. And these rumors that have been said about you are not accurate. And so when they have this competition, because at that time, Brigitte had some of the lowest grades in the class. And he's like, you're challenging me. He doesn't say it, I don't think, but he is known as being this genius. And he's at the top of his class every single exam. And here's Brigitte near the bottom claiming, I'm going to beat you, and has confidence. Now, she does have a moment of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did that. You know, like, I can't believe I challenged this guy. But she goes all in, locks in, and every step of the way, Yuri takes her seriously. I love how, even if it's very subtle, that we see just with the romance, that Yuri's expressions change, like later on when something happens and she ends up being at his house, like nothing inappropriate or anything, but she's there. We can see like Brigitte makes a comment and she's like, why does he look so sad because I said this? And so I feel like there's, even if it's not very obvious, we do see subtle shifts in his expressions and the way he talks to Brigitte and just the way he treats her. It is very beautiful. Bring back to say, I think that's why I never hated Yuri. I might have been a little bit unsure of how to react to him because he's a very different male lead for me personally that I typically like and usually read, but he is so amazing just in the sense of how he takes our girl seriously, and he plays a large role in Brigitte's life, and I truly loved how she slowly opens up to him and that she can be her real self because she knows he's seen the real her. He's never looked down on her just because she doesn't have a powerful spirit the same way he does. No, like, there is just this openness between them, and it definitely starts with competition. They have so much competing that happens, but it brings a very fun element, and I think it's a very desperate one that's needed, considering when the more we go on in this series, again, we're seeing that backstory of Brigitte's life. I feel like it's a blessing to have some humor because otherwise I think it'd be extremely heavy. Now, I don't know how it is in the light novel because I know very few friends who are reading it, but just for the manga, I appreciate those light moments when we do have them because it's fun, yes, but again, it gives you that like, I'm not drowning in my feelings and pain that Brigitte and seeing her pain. So I do like though how we have these competitions that take place, even though they're so very intense. And thankfully Yuri is very aware because there's a really sweet romantic moment that I think happens at the end of volume 2. Yes, it is near the end of volume 2 going into volume 3 where he gives her something and he's like, look, we're both looked down upon a lot, both probably equally hated the same by people, so please take this gift and accept it because it will help you. I love that moment, but man, that moment, that competition leads into some of the most emotional parts of this series, and I think volume 3 is really the beginning of Brigitte's journey of being, I don't think transparent's the right word, being vulnerable, even if it's just with Yuri, but admitting, I'm scared. I was scared in this situation that happens in volume 3. And then in volume 4 of her being willing to say, I'm scared and I want to take this step forward because she finds out information about her spirit and what could be sort of the cause. And it's just everybody around her is like, what are you doing? We know you want to meet your spirit, but this does not feel the right way. Grant, I was with with everybody on that, because it was scary to see Brigette's reaction, even if it was uncontrollable for her. And the way that the memories are shown was horrifying. I will say there was some positivity in this volume, because I love seeing Brigette make a first and true friend. That's not Yuri, I would say a female friend. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, and brought tears in my eyes, because I'm like, yes, Brigette, like, you deserve friendship. You deserve these things, even if you feel you don't. Like, girl, you're overcoming so much. She's just a character that I feel like you just can't hate her, because she's trying so hard. I guess maybe people be like, well, she's a try-hard, but it's like, no, I wouldn't go as to say like she's a try-hard, because I feel like we have more negative association with that word. It's more like I said at the beginning, this is a young woman. You're on this journey with her to see her get her life back in a way that she didn't think was possible, but yet here it is happening. It's beautiful and amazing. And the funny thing is as much as I love the romance and how breadcrumby I feel it is sometimes, I genuinely appreciate this focus on Brigette and how she is growing. And it's interesting, I think going forward, rereading this volume 4 specifically, I think the romance is going to be a very natural thing. Like, I love seeing these two where it's so obvious that they definitely like each other, but there's a moment where it just felt so normal, at least as a reader, I felt so normal for them to just hold hands in this moment. I'm like, I don't even think that they realize, like, yo, you still holding hands. You know, like there was a specific reason that they did. And so I'm sort of hoping that for the romance specifically, as it goes on, that this is a natural part of this story. Yuri is so ingrained in Brigette's story as a whole that you can't remove him. Not just for a romantic sense, since he does seem to be the male love interest, but just because of how he's helping her. He encourages her in the most, I was gonna say unique of ways. They're maybe not unique, but it's surprising to me that I'm like, I wouldn't have thought that something he would say in his blunt fashion, his roundabout way, where she's like, are you concerned about me? He's like, no, I wasn't. She's like, so you weren't concerned about me? He's like, I didn't say that. Like, so you were? You know, you just don't want to admit it. That things like that, that's like, man, I'm thankful again that you're in her life, that she has support and how he is there for her. Maybe they start off as rivals and now they're just as friends, hopefully soon to be lovers, but that's okay, because I want to see Brigette have this healing and her be able to again bloom as a young woman. Like, that is ultimately what I'm here, and it's just, you know, cherry on top with the romance coming in. I would highly recommend it, because I definitely feel this is a really underrated series. I feel like because it has that villainous title, that it's just labeled as, well, this is gonna have the typical villainous tropes, cliches that I don't like. And it's so much more than that, though. It's so much more than that. Like, it's not a fair label, I feel like, to put on this series. If you're a fan of what I'm hoping is gonna be rivals to lovers, or rivals to friends to lovers, I'm hoping it's going that trope. I definitely think you would like this, especially if you enjoy slow burn and you appreciate having more focus on a heroine and her journey. Yeah, this is definitely, and of course, if you do like some of those villainous tropes, you know, of the broken engagement and people going against her, then yeah, I think you will still enjoy this. I don't want people to toss it out purely because of a label. You understand what I mean? I mean, I love villainous manga, and if you're probably watching this video, you might love villainous manga too, or you're just very curious about the series. Either way, it is so good, friends. I truly hope that I did this series justice, because, man, if I've read it 2 times now and still loving it just as much as the first time, I literally gave every volume 5 stars. Each time I was like, yep, that rating is accurate. We ain't changing it. We ain't knocking it down. In fact, if I could, especially for volume 4, I definitely would give it more stars if I was able, just because of the development that happens and that courage that Brigette shows. It is everything, and I can't wait to see where her story goes next. I am sort of tempted to try the light novel and see where things go, since I think we have 4 volumes out in English, so definitely it's gonna go past what's in the manga. But I will stop yapping there. I truly hope I did this series justice. I feel like I was a little bit everywhere with it, but it is great. I highly recommend it. And again, thank you to everybody who recommended this series. I deeply, deeply appreciate it. And I guess as a fun question for today, if you had a contract with a spirit, what animal or creature would you hope that it would be? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!